Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second days of the Asia Solar Energy for Climate Change Conference. I'm Elisa from CarbonCare InnoLab. I'm delighted to bring to you an inspiring talk titled Renewable Energy Job Booming, Bridge to Technical Skill Gaps. As we move toward to a more sustainable and resilient future, developing expertise in renewable energy and enhancing workforce readiness is essential. I believe everyone, including myself, is curious about what to pay attention to in this labor transition trend and how to grasp the opportunity is present. Today, we are privileged to have Mr. Eric Roeder to guide us through the topic. Mr. Roeder is a technical specialist on green jobs, climate action, and resilience for the Asia Pacific regions at the International Labour Organizations. His extensive experience spanned over 2 decades of service to the United Nations, including the notable contribution to the dust and sandstorm mitigation, energy efficiency, cleaner production industry, and sustainable agricultural development. He has been instrumental in initiatives such as the ongoing maritime sector strategy to augment tsunami monitoring, and has played an important role in advancing public-private partnership for sustainable development in line with the SDG and Paris Agreement. Currently, Eric works with the various sectors on greening, building climate resilience, and transitioning away from polluting and resource-intensive business processes to cleaner and more cost-effective ones. No one is better suited than Eric to share this talk with us. So without further ado, Eric, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Alicia, and thank you for allowing me to this very important program today. So yes, I'll be touching on bridging the technical skills gap, particularly in the renewable energy sector. So let me jump right into my slides. I wanted to give a little bit of a background, very, very briefly, because green jobs are what we talk about when we want to preserve the environment, and they can be across sectors such as construction and emerging green such as renewable energy and energy. So but the most important part of a green job is actually the job doesn't start out green. It could be a gray or brown job. So you want to move away from a dirty or polluting process, such as in the textile sector where you're dyeing textiles, but you're using toxic chemicals. But you can move away from that very dirty and toxic process to a cleaner and greener process for using CO2 in dyeing or even organic dyes to dye your clothing. And then the objective is, while we're talking about a green job, it also has to be decent. So that means have access to social protection, it has to be safer, and it has to move away from informality and into formality. And of course, the whole benefit of going into a greener or cleaner job from a dirtier process there should be the co-benefit of better occupational safety and health. So this basically is taking a pathway that replaces a more carbon-intensive alternative. So then we have just transition itself, this process, and a goal to undertake climate actions that equally advance job creation, social justice, and fair transitions for workers. And the important part is that since the ILO is tripartite, we bring in employers, workers, and the government. They have to all sit down together to ensure that no one is left behind. That's so important, and we've seen many bad examples where maybe two parties came together, but the third party was left out. And this would be an example of one country deciding to move to organic agriculture, but they left out the farmers in the process. They didn't discuss with the farmers. So when it came time to switch to this seemingly greener way of producing food, they weren't ready. They were being subsidized to use petrol chemicals and so forth, and so they weren't. So the whole agricultural system in that country caused an economic collapse. So I'll skip over the guidelines, but the guidelines basically the just transition guidelines basically aim to, as a policy tool, to help countries at all levels of development manage the transition to a low carbon economy. So and this is emphasizing the importance of social dialogue at every stage in which the ILO is center of. So projected employment trends in correlation with climate change and energy transition. Countries in our region, we all know how important it is to move to cleaner energy sources. So the areas, the trends, the employment trends will happen in renewable energy, in energy efficiency, reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Countries can invest in energy efficient technologies and practices, and this is something we seem to forget. We keep thinking we could simply move to renewables and other types of energy, but we need to reduce our energy consumption. Climate adaptation. We all know that the Asia Pacific is the most vulnerable region on the planet to climate change, sea level rise, extreme weather events, and so forth. And then also the way we produce food and how we preserve our forests is very important as well. Forests are our watersheds, and they also help to keep cool urban areas. So the more trees that you have, like say in Singapore, where I am now, this helps keep the city stay cooler than say a city like Bangkok, which has almost no trees in its urban area. So factors shaping employment trends in the energy sector is, of course, government policy plays a huge role. If you don't have the right policies in place, for example, there's a country in our region where they actually discourage factories and so forth from uptaking solar energy. They want you to stay on the grid. So solar energy in this particular country isn't moving anywhere because the government wants everyone to stay on their grid to buy electricity from them. Of course, investment, technological advances, everything from solar panels to turbines, these technologies do help not just increase the types of jobs in the sector, but also be more efficient in delivering energy. Of course, international commitments, the Paris Agreement, training, education are very important, and with the necessary skills for energy transition is a critical factor. And market demand, the demand for energy services and clean technologies in both domestic and international markets. So not to touch on this too much because we are very short on time. So I will share this presentation with the team here so that can be distributed to. But diversified energy mix is something that's really important, because if we're going to really transition from other types of energy, it needs to be a mix. We can't rely on any one particular energy source. And then community empowerment. This is very important in rural areas where, for example, community solar projects allow residents who may not have suitable rooftops for solar panels to access clean energy, these types of things. So let me jump past this. So let's get to skills. This is where everyone was waiting for. So there's skills for just transition, and on the other hand, green skills for just transition, which focuses specifically on the skills required for roles in greening industries, such as applying cleaner production, energy efficiency. All these types of things, all these types of skills can advance and a particular sector becoming more green, more cost effective. And so renewable energy, conservation, sustainable agriculture, these areas. Showcasing the complementary nature of these approaches, we can convey a comprehensive strategy for fostering a skilled workforce, contributes to a low carbon and climate resilient economy. So projected skills trends in correlation with climate change and energy transition is obviously renewable energy technologies. We're going to need more professionals and really in innovating these already existing technologies so that they can produce more energy in a more efficient manner. Of course, energy storage, this is a big area because our storage technologies are still lacking. Data analytics, IoT, and energy, raising demand for skills in data analytics, machine learning, and so forth. Climate modeling and adaptation. So this is particularly important for everyone, but also for farming communities as well. So important skills needed to do adaptation strategies, resiliency planning to address the impacts of climate change. Green building and sustainable design. This is extremely important because we're talking about reducing our energy footprint. So this is all about energy efficiency. And then of course, electrification and electric vehicle infrastructure. Right now, EV production is a very dirty process because we have to extract rare earths such as nickel and cobalt, but nickel, for example, can be 100% recycled. And since we're moving to this mineral intensive economy, the World Bank finds that in the next 5 years, we have to double our extraction rates of these rare earths, but we also have to triple our recycling of these rare earths. So it's very important to think about that. And this is moving into the circular economy. And so this is all important because these skills related to the circular economy are going to be the ones that are going to be in high demand. Okay, skills development. I will skip on these because they're very short. Market demand, biodiversity, of course, is very important here. We need to preserve our biodiversity. The importance of solar energy as an example of expediency. I put this in because here in Afghanistan, people are growing poppies. Yes, it's illegal, but they're using solar water pumps to do it. So that means it really works. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this. So that's to show that the importance of solar to augment our energy needs. And this is also in Afghanistan, in Kabul. So 35% of the energy demand at the international airport is via solar. They put solar panels in the parking lot there. So, and another thing that's very important is building to use less energy. The construction sector is resource heavy and has a profound impact on natural environments. And so it's important to look at how we build things. And so on the right there, you see the shop houses in Malacca, and this is before the advent of air conditioning. And the roofs are sloped to allow heat escape, and then the awnings cover the windows to block the afternoon sun from heating the interior. So we need to really think about these types of architecture again, and we need to go back to our roots, so to speak. And so this is a big area. If you want to be an architect, you can be a green architect. So, and I already touched on the mineral intensive economy, so I'll drop that. And does solar contribute to the circular economy? It certainly does. Energy aligns with circular economy by generating clean electricity from a renewable source, fostering localized energy production, and then efforts to enhance recycling technologies, including take-back programs and designing projects with end-of-life considerations. This includes solar panels as well, so that they can be recycled again. And then another issue is we're in the linear economy, and so what you're looking at here is a waste dump outside of Ahmedabad, India. All the cities have these. This is 250 meters high and it's 4 kilometers across. And it's not smoking because someone set it on fire. It's smoking because it's just combusting under pressure of the landfill. So all this produces methane, which is 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide at trapping heat. So it's much worse than having a coal-fired power plant is having this dump. So we need to look at waste to energy, and countries are doing that. For example, here in Singapore, they have to incinerate everything. They cannot send it off to Malaysia. They can't send it to Indonesia. So they incinerate, but it's a waste to energy process. They use the ash then to go into a landfill, and the landfills are less intensive. They're much smaller because ash, they burn most of the waste away, and this can be done in producing energy and also reducing emissions as well. So thank you so much for that. I'm sorry that I had to rush through, but back to you, Alicia.
Thank you so much, Eric. Like a quick and intensive one, but very sort of soul sharing. If anyone have any questions, do feel free to pop in the questions box. Just now I saw audience raising hands, and apologize that we are not allowed audience to unmute the mic. So if you have questions, please pop it in the chat room or the Q&A sections. Okay, while waiting people loading in questions, may I take the privilege to ask the first question first? And like from the I hear like a lot of potential in like different industry like chemical engineering, architect, etc. You also mentioned about the policy, the government policy, like the policy we can like see what the government development on that, and also the corporate also have internal policy, as well as the training supply from the school. I wonder if you think like in the job market, the green job market, are all these three key important stakeholders like are connecting with each other well, like in the Asia Pacific region? Or if we have to name an examples, is there any cities or country particular doing well on like train enough on the universities level and then bring to the market vacancy and policy do well on cope with that one?
Certainly, no. Of course, there's bad examples, as I tried to mention in the presentation, but there certainly are good examples where the private sector is tapping into the university sector, or where all the research is taking place. Most of the research, I mean, the private sector, they do conduct their own research, but they are working together. And then, of course, the government is the one that has to provide the enabling environment. And so in our own, when we set up workshops and so forth, we do actually bring in all three actors so that they're communicating. But some countries are doing quite well in this area. I would say in Malaysia, they're doing well. They have a program where they train the private sector on how to be more energy efficient and cleaner production. So a private sector company can approach this Malaysian center that the government runs and says, can you do an audit for us? We want to be more energy efficient. We want to have more cleaner production. And then they will come in and do this. And sometimes they will call in on the local universities, like the University of Malaya, to help them to conduct the audit. So this is where all three parties have come together to do this. So it's quite encouraging to see that, as opposed to just having inflexible policy where the government simply says, no, you're going to use the grid. We don't want you to use solar energy because we want to make sure that you're paying into our grid. Back to you.
Thanks. The next one, I think after this one, we have to end the sessions. But if anyone wants to have any further thing, want to interact with Eric, do use the checkbox features on the portal. And like, how do you see the incorporation of renewable energy, solar, wind, or any kind with the agricultural land? I mean, land use is an issue, right? If we use the land for the solar panel, for example, or other renewable energy on the coastal, then we lost the land use for other purpose. Like, is there any job opportunity you see there that can have an integration there?
Actually, it's interesting that you raised this question. China, for example, they are growing goji berries that need a certain amount of shade every day. So what they're doing is they're planting these types of very valuable plants underneath solar panels, because the solar panels, they're raised off the ground, but it depends, like 1.5 meters off the ground. So things can grow underneath, the goji berry, since it needs so much shade, that's one thing. So they're trying to look at integrated ways to continue to produce food. This is where agronomists come in. So if you want to study agronomy, you can look at these interrelationships, not just between crops, but also the technology out there. You know, can we grow crops, for example, in wind farms? And so I think we're seeing that can happen. So.
Cool, great. Thank you very much, Eric, for like bringing this insight to us today. And I believe everyone have more questions, but like we have to conscious of time, so apologize for that one. And our next sections will be another inspiring talk, achieving philanthropic excellency, unveiling the successful case study in Hong Kong. Like, I will see you in the next sections, and our session of today will come to the end. Thank you again, Eric.
Thank you.
Stay in touch.
Okay, bye.